For a long time, seekers have searched for a quiet place within themselves. Many believed that true rest must be forced into existence, shaped by effort, discipline, and control. Yet the old teachers understood something far more subtle. The mind does not soften through struggle. It softens when it feels safe enough to release its grip. Tonight, we walk gently toward that understanding. Not through instruction, not through effort, but through listening. What you are about to hear is not a method, not a technique, not a practice that must be mastered. These are simple stories, drifting one into another like mist across a silent valley. They do not demand anything from you. They ask only that you remain where you already are. There is nothing to achieve, nothing to perfect, nothing to fix. If your eyes are still open, you may allow them to close when they wish. If your breath feels fast, you do not need to slow it. If your thoughts feel busy, you do not need to silence them. Simply rest here as you are. Long ago, in a secluded monastery hidden among quiet mountains, there lived a young monk named Ren. Like many before him, he had come in search of peace. He imagined that the monastery would be a place of effortless stillness, where the mind would naturally become calm. But when he arrived, he discovered something unexpected. The silence of the temple did not quiet his thoughts. Instead, it made them louder. Each evening, while the other monks sat peacefully in meditation, Ren felt trapped inside his own mind. Memories replayed themselves again and again. Worries about the future rose like waves. Questions about his worth and purpose refused to fade. The more he tried to push these thoughts away, the stronger they became. He felt as though he were fighting an invisible storm. Night after night, he left the meditation hall with heavy shoulders and tired eyes. Sleep came in fragments, broken by the same restless energy that followed him through the day. Slowly, a quiet despair grew within him. He began to believe that serenity was meant for others, not for someone whose mind could not be tamed. One evening, after another long struggle with his thoughts, Ren wandered beyond the temple walls. He did not go with any intention to practice or understand. He simply walked until his legs felt tired. The moon was high in the sky, casting pale light across stones, trees, and winding paths. Eventually, he found himself sitting beneath an old cedar tree. He was not meditating. He was not searching. He was simply too tired to continue. As he sat there, something subtle began to shift. He noticed the sound of water moving through a nearby stream. He heard the soft rustling of leaves in the night wind. From far away came the faint call of an unseen bird. At first, these sounds seemed separate, scattered across the darkness. But slowly, Ren sensed something deeper. Beneath every sound, around every movement, there was a vast openness. Not silence as emptiness, but silence as space. The stream did not disturb it. The wind did not break it. Even his own breath seemed to float gently within it. For the first time in many months, his body softened. His shoulders dropped without effort. His breath deepened on its own. He remained beneath the cedar tree for a long time, not practicing anything, not trying to become calm. He simply rested in the realization that stillness was not something he needed to create. It was something he had never left. From that night on, Ren's relationship with his mind began to change. When thoughts appeared, he no longer fought them. He listened instead to the quiet space in which they arose. When anxiety visited him, he did not push it away. He allowed it to exist within the same vast openness he had discovered under the moonlight. Gradually, his sleep became deep and natural. It did not come from effort, but from trust. Years later, when students came to him with tired eyes and restless hearts, Ren would lead them to the same place beneath the cedar tree. He would not give long explanations. He would simply say, "Do not listen only to the sounds. Listen to what holds the sounds. Do not watch only your thoughts. Notice what is aware of them. Rest there." Like Ren, you may discover that peace is not a prize to be earned. It is not a reward for perfect discipline or flawless practice. It is the quiet ground beneath every experience, always present, always waiting. Even now, as these words reach you, that same stillness is here. You do not need to travel anywhere to find it. You do not need to change anything about yourself. Notice how your body begins to soften when it realizes it is safe to rest. Notice how your breath moves naturally when it is no longer controlled. This gentle intelligence has always been within you. You do not need to improve it. You only need to stop resisting it. In another time, in a quiet village far from the mountains, there lived an elderly tea maker known for his serene presence. People traveled long distances to watch him prepare tea. His movements were slow, precise, and effortless, as though each gesture arose from a deeper rhythm. Before every ceremony, he would sit alone with an empty cup in his hands. He would gaze into it quietly, sometimes closing his eyes, sometimes simply breathing. One day, a curious visitor asked him why he did this. The tea maker smiled and placed the empty cup in the visitor's palms. "What do you see?" he asked. "Nothing," the visitor replied. "It is empty." The old man nodded gently. "And because it is empty," he said, "it can receive everything." He explained that each day he carried invisible burdens. Plans, worries, expectations, tensions he had collected without noticing. If he tried to pour tea into a cup already filled with these things, nothing new could enter. "So I sit with the empty cup," he said softly, "to remember that emptiness is not loss. It is openness. Stillness is not absence. It is possibility." That night, the tea maker slept deeply. He had learned to approach rest as he approached tea. First, the quiet emptying. Then, the gentle waiting. Finally, the natural filling with what was needed. You can practice this wisdom now. Notice what you have been carrying through the day. Not with judgment, not with urgency, but with kindness. Perhaps you are holding thoughts about tomorrow. You may imagine setting them down beside your bed, like a bag that no longer needs to be carried. Perhaps memories of conversations return to you. Words spoken, words unspoken. You may allow them to drift away like leaves released into a slow-moving river. Your body, too, may be holding the day. The neck, the shoulders, the jaw. Each part can be invited to soften, not by force, but by permission. Observe your breath. You do not need to guide it. It arrives on its own. It leaves on its own. With each inhale, you receive the present moment. With each exhale, you release what no longer needs to be held. Breathing in, you welcome ease. Breathing out, you release effort. Your breath knows how to slow. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to quiet itself when it feels safe. Trust this ancient rhythm. There is a simple teaching in the Zen tradition called just being. It means allowing everything to exist without interference. As you lie here, you can practice just lying. Lying with the sounds around you. lying with the thoughts that pass through your mind, lying with the sensations that move through your body. You are not failing if your mind is active. You are not succeeding if it is quiet. You are simply allowing life to unfold. Your thinking mind has worked hard today. It has solved problems, made decisions, protected you, guided you. You may thank it gently now. You have done enough. You can rest. Other kinds of wisdom will take over while you sleep. The wisdom of the body that heals. The wisdom of the heart that processes emotions. The wisdom of awareness that requires no effort. In old monasteries, the evening was known as the hour of release. Monks would let go not only of tasks, but of the need to control their lives. You can join this quiet tradition. For these hours, you do not need to become anyone. You do not need to solve anything. You do not need to prove your worth. You may rest from being a person with responsibilities and goals. You may relax into the awareness that existed before your stories began. Like a drop of water returning to the ocean, you are not disappearing. You are expanding. The moon does not worry about tomorrow. The mountains do not hurry. The stars do not struggle to shine. Your body knows this wisdom. Feel how it grows heavier, not with burden, but with ease. Like a creature settling into a safe place, you are allowed to let go completely. Your breath continues its quiet rhythm. Your heart continues its steady movement. Healing begins without your effort. This is the truth Rin discovered beneath the cedar tree. Peace is not created by perfect circumstances. It is the background that has always been here. Tonight, as sleep approaches, you are not escaping life. You are returning to its deeper rhythm. There is nothing to accomplish now. Nothing to chase. Nothing to become. Let the stillness hold you. Let the openness receive you. Let your breath guide you gently toward rest. And as the night unfolds, may you feel yourself carried, not by effort, but by the quiet wisdom that has always known the way home. Some thoughts, like certain seeds in the earth, carry meanings we do not immediately recognize. Their purpose is not always clear at first glance. Your task is not to condemn them, but to care for them with quiet understanding. As you rest here, you may bring the patience of a gardener into the landscape of your mind. Notice what has emerged within you today. Perhaps there are concerns about tomorrow, rising gently like young shoots reaching toward an unknown sky. Perhaps there are memories of the day, resting like fallen petals that slowly return to the soil of wisdom. You do not need to uproot these inner plants to find peace. Instead, you may place each one where it belongs. Some thoughts return again and again, like perennial flowers born from love and responsibility. Others appear quickly and vanish just as fast, like wild grasses with shallow roots. There is no struggle in this tending. Like a gardener walking through a quiet garden at dusk, you move with gentle awareness. You acknowledge what is present. You offer attention where it is needed. Then you allow the natural rhythm of rest to complete the work. Your body is also part of this garden. Notice where tension has gathered. Perhaps your shoulders hold the day's weight like branches carrying heavy rain. Perhaps your jaw remains closed like a bud waiting for softer light. Each place of holding can be met with kindness. Breathe into these areas, not to command them to change, but to offer warmth and care. Like sunlight and rain touching the earth, your awareness gives permission to soften. Your body knows how to release when it feels safe. Long ago, there was a small village beside a lake so calm that it reflected the sky with perfect clarity. The villagers admired the lake, believing it to be a rare miracle of nature. Travelers came from distant lands to witness its still surface. Yet the village had not always been peaceful. In earlier years, arguments filled the air. Neighbors disputed boundaries. Families carried old resentments. Merchants quarreled over words and numbers. The lake, people said, was once restless, its surface broken by constant waves. Change began quietly, with an elderly woman named Erin. She was not a leader, nor a teacher, nor a person of authority. She was simply someone who had grown tired of conflict. Each morning before sunrise, Erin walked to the edge of the lake and sat upon a smooth stone. She did not pray or meditate in any formal way. She simply watched the water. She observed how a single breeze created ripples, how a fish disturbed the surface with a gentle movement, how, when the air became still, the lake returned to clarity by itself. At first, villagers thought she was strange. Some whispered that she was losing her senses. But as days passed, people noticed something unusual. Erin did not speak. She did not instruct. She simply sat, her presence calm and steady. Children began to sit near her out of curiosity. Without being told, they grew quiet. They watched how their laughter disturbed the water, and how silence allowed it to become clear again. Gradually, adults joined them. They came not to learn, but to experience the quiet that surrounded her. As they sat by the lake, they began to recognize something within themselves. Just as the lake became restless when disturbed and clear when left alone, their minds grew agitated when pushed and settled when given space. Arguments that once felt urgent began to lose their power. Old resentments seemed lighter, like clouds dissolving in the morning sky. Slowly, the village changed. Not through rules or debates, but through the quiet influence of people who had learned to rest within themselves. Disagreements still arose, but they softened more quickly. Listening replaced shouting. Curiosity replaced judgment. The lake seemed to mirror this transformation. Its surface became clearer than ever, reflecting mountains and stars with effortless precision. When Erin passed away many years later, the villagers placed a small stone near her resting place by the shore. They understood that her true legacy was not the stone, but the quality of attention she had awakened. Like that village, you carry within you a lake of stillness. Your mind has its own natural clarity when it is not constantly stirred by worry. Tonight, you may practice the same quiet wisdom. Allow your attention to settle like water returning to calm. Notice how thoughts appear like ripples, move gently across awareness, and fade again. You do not need to stop thinking. Just as Erin could not stop the wind, you do not need to stop the mind. You only need to rest in the awareness that observes the movement. Feel how your breath begins to slow. Each exhale is like a soft breeze touching water. Each inhale brings fresh stillness. Your body participates in this settling. Like sediment slowly sinking beneath clear water, tension can descend gently, leaving spaciousness above. This is not a skill to master. It is a natural process to allow. The wisdom already lives within you, in your body's knowledge of rest, in your mind's capacity for silence, in your heart's longing for peace. The gardener learned that fighting his thoughts only strengthened them. The woman by the lake learned that stillness cannot be forced, but can be invited. Tonight, you may unite these teachings. Care for your inner garden with patience. Allow your inner lake to return to calm. There is no need to struggle. There is only space. As sleep draws closer, carry with you the gentleness of the gardener and the quiet depth of the lake. Trust that the night knows how to transform the day's experiences into understanding, how to wash the mirror of awareness clean. From still water, we now turn toward moving water. From silence, we move toward flow. A river never argues with its path. It does not fight the stones it meets. It does not resist the pull that guides it toward the sea. Water teaches that true strength often appears as softness. By yielding, it endures. By patience, it reshapes even the hardest rock. Your journey into sleep can follow the same wisdom. Instead of forcing rest, you may allow it to arrive. The current already flows beneath your effort. You only need to stop swimming against it. In a distant mountain valley, there once lived a ferryman named Dawa. For many decades, he guided travelers across a deep and powerful river. His small boat was the only bridge between two sides of the valley. Most journeys took place during the day. But sometimes, travelers arrived at dusk, asking to cross in darkness. Though others feared the night, Dawa accepted these requests. In the dark, he had learned something unusual. When he could not see the surface clearly, he felt the river more deeply. Without relying on sight, he sensed the current through the movement of the boat. During daylight, he tried to control the route. He avoided visible obstacles and planned each turn. Yet these crossings were often difficult. At night, he listened instead of controlling. He allowed the current to guide him. The boat drifted naturally, following hidden channels known only to the river. One evening, a young trader begged Dawa to take him across. Fear filled the man's voice as the sky darkened. "How can you cross without seeing the way?" he asked. Dawa smiled softly. "Feel," he said. He did not fight the current. He made only small movements, working with the river rather than against it. "The river has traveled this path for thousands of years," Dawa explained. "It knows every stone, every turn, every safe passage. When I stop imposing my own plans, it shows me the way." As the boat reached the far shore, the trader felt his fear dissolve. "It felt as if the river carried us," he whispered. "It did," Dawa replied. "Everything that does not resist is carried." Years later, Dawa taught travelers who came to listen. "Life is like this crossing," he said. "We think we must see everything clearly to move safely. But often, the most graceful movement happens when we trust what we cannot fully see." Difficult times, he explained, are like night journeys. They remove illusions of control and invite deeper wisdom. Like Dawa, you can allow sleep to carry you. Your body is already preparing. Your breath is slowing. Your muscles are releasing. Your thoughts are softening. This is the river of rest beginning to flow. You do not need to know where it leads. You do not need to understand every moment of the journey. You only need to stop resisting. Your thoughts move more slowly now, like leaves floating on gentle water. Your worries do not need immediate solutions. The night has its own intelligence. Feel the pleasant weight of your body. Like a traveler trusting the ferryman, you may trust your body's ancient knowledge of sleep. Once, a small stream flowed freely through mountains and forests toward the sea. For many years, it followed the same path without effort. One day, a massive stone fell across its course. The stream could not pass through it. It could not move it. Its familiar path was blocked. At first, the stream pushed against the obstacle with all its force. But the stone remained unmoved, and the stream grew tired. Gradually, something changed. As the water gathered, it began to explore new directions. Tiny channels formed along the edges of the rock. New paths emerged, unexpected and beautiful. In time, the stream found its way around the stone, not by defeating it, but by discovering alternatives. The place around the rock became one of the most beautiful parts of the valley. The obstacle had become the source of new harmony. From that day on, the stream no longer feared obstacles. It met them with curiosity rather than resistance. Like that stream, you may encounter barriers on the way to sleep. Perhaps worries feel like heavy stones. Perhaps discomfort seems to block the path to rest. These obstacles do not need to disappear. You can allow your awareness to flow around them. Where worry exists, there may also be small spaces of calm. Where tension exists, there may also be islands of comfort. Discover those gentle places. Rest there. Like water, you will find your way. The way into sleep does not demand perfect silence within the mind, nor complete ease in every muscle of the body. Like water discovering many paths through a landscape, your awareness can find rest in places you did not expect. A single slow breath can open a quiet passage toward calm. The gentle weight of your head upon the pillow can anchor you in the present moment. The subtle rhythm of your heartbeat can become a quiet companion, carrying you softly toward the shores of sleep. When thoughts continue to appear at night, you do not need to chase them away. Instead of trying to stop the mind, you may allow thoughts to exist while your attention rests elsewhere. Notice the softness of your breathing. Notice the warmth beneath the covers. Notice the quiet darkness that surrounds you like a protective cloak. Like a stream that learned to move around a great stone, you can move with the natural activity of your mind rather than against it. Thoughts may pass through awareness like water flowing around rocks, present, yet unable to block your journey into rest. Your body understands this wisdom as well. When you release the effort to make everything perfect, comfort often arises on its own. Your spine settles gently into the mattress. Your breath finds its own easy rhythm. Your limbs grow pleasantly heavy as they remember how to rest. In the Zen tradition, there is a simple teaching about change. Everything moves, everything transforms, everything passes. The masters spoke these words not only in times of difficulty, but also in moments of joy. Not as a warning, but as a truth that brings quiet comfort. Whatever troubles you tonight will change. Tasks waiting for tomorrow will unfold in their own time. Emotions you carry will soften and shift. Sensations of tension will move through their natural cycles. Yet impermanence offers another gift. Just as difficulties pass, new moments of ease are constantly arriving. Each breath brings fresh opportunities for calm. Each moment of stillness opens new currents of peace. You do not need to hold tightly to any single feeling of comfort. Like a river, rest can move and change while still carrying you forward. Every small moment of peace contributes to the larger current drawing you away from the busy shores of the day. When you see sleep not as a destination to reach, but as a current already flowing beneath you, something within you begins to soften. You are no longer trying to fall asleep. You are allowing sleep to carry you. The ferryman once discovered that night journeys required a different way of guiding the boat. In the same way, the transition from waking to sleeping calls for a different kind of wisdom. During the day, your mind is trained to focus, analyze, plan, and control. But night invites another way of being. Softening, accepting, trusting, allowing. This shift does not happen suddenly. It unfolds gradually, like a river slowly changing its direction as it follows the shape of the land. You can participate in this change by loosening your grip on the day. Feel how your breath naturally slows. Feel how your body begins to release its tension. Your nervous system is quietly moving from alertness to restoration. Countless processes of healing begin when you allow this transition to complete itself. You do not need to manage these processes. Just as a stream does not need to understand gravity, your body does not need your control to find rest. The wisdom is already built into you. Your only task is to stop resisting the current that is already carrying you. Tonight, let the teaching of flowing water stay with you. Trust the river of your own rhythm. Allow obstacles to become gateways to new forms of peace. Everything passes, including the effort you are ready to release. From the wisdom of flowing water, we now turn toward the stillness of high places. A mountain does not move when storms pass above it. Seasons change across its slopes, yet its core remains unmoved. In the same way, beneath your thoughts and emotions, beneath the activities of your day, there exists something steady and quiet within you. This stillness is not rigid or cold. It is deeply at rest. High among distant peaks, there once lived a hermit named Anu. He chose the most remote mountain he could find, believing that perfect silence was necessary for awakening. In the beginning, he felt he had discovered his ideal refuge. Weeks passed without meeting another person. The air was thin, the sky vast, the world below distant. But slowly, Anu noticed something surprising. The mountain was never truly silent. Wind moved endlessly through the rocks. Ice cracked in the cold night. Birds called across the sky. The earth itself whispered in subtle ways. At first, he felt disappointed. He had climbed so high to escape noise, yet sound followed him even there. One night, during a fierce storm, Anu felt his search for silence collapse. Wind roared around his shelter. The mountain shook with thunder. He could not even hear his own breath. And in that moment of surrender, he noticed something extraordinary. Beneath the storm, beneath the noise, there was a stillness that did not depend on silence. The storm did not disturb it. The wind could not touch it. Anu realized that he had been looking in the wrong place. Peace was not outside him. It was the awareness that observed everything. From that night forward, his practice changed. He no longer tried to create perfect conditions. He rested in the unchanging presence that remained, whether the world was quiet or loud. When travelers later visited him, they were surprised by his calm. They expected someone shaped by isolation, but found someone at ease with everything. "Where does your peace come from?" they asked. Anu listened to the wind and smiled. "Silence is not the absence of sound," he said softly. "It is the space in which sound appears. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the awareness in which movement unfolds." Like Anu, you can discover this mountain-like quality within yourself. You do not need to change your surroundings. You only need to notice what remains unchanged within them. Even now, as thoughts move through your mind, something within you observes without disturbance. Even as your body settles, something within you remains spacious and still. Your breath rises and falls within this vast awareness, like wind moving across mountain peaks without shaking the mountain itself. Sensations in your body are like weather patterns. They appear, change, and fade. Yet the awareness that observes them remains steady. You do not need to deny discomfort. You do not need to resist it. You can simply remain present, as a mountain remains present during storms. Long ago, in a quiet garden, a great statue of the Buddha stood carved from a single block of stone. For many years, people came from far away to sit before it. Rain touched it. Snow rested upon it. Sunlight warmed it. Children laughed near it. Birds sang above it. Yet the statue itself never changed. A young monk who tended the garden noticed something curious. Different visitors saw different expressions in the Buddha's face. Some saw sorrow. Some saw compassion. Some saw joy. The monk could not understand how one face could reveal so many meanings. One day, an old teacher visited the garden. The monk asked him about this mystery. The teacher smiled and said, "Watch how the statue appears as the light changes." The monk observed the statue through the day. In morning light, it seemed gentle and awake. In midday sun, it appeared clear and strong. At sunset, it looked warm and kind. Under moonlight, it seemed vast and mysterious. The teacher nodded. "The stone does not change," he said. "Only the light and perception change. True stability is not rigidity. It is the ability to remain unchanged while allowing all conditions." From that day on, the monk understood his own mind differently. He no longer tried to maintain one fixed state. He learned to rest in the awareness that could welcome every experience. Like the stone Buddha, you do not need to force yourself to remain the same. You can remain deeply stable while allowing thoughts, emotions, and sensations to come and go. As you lie here, allow everything to appear and fade naturally. Rest in what does not change. The mountain within you is already present. The river within you is already flowing. The garden within you is already alive. And slowly, without effort, you are carried deeper into the quiet embrace of sleep. Like the silent sky above a sleeping world, he slowly realized that true learning does not always arrive through effort, but often through surrender. Beneath his striving mind, there existed a deeper intelligence that did not need to be forced or persuaded. It only needed space. You can feel this same truth now, as your body settles and your breathing becomes softer. There is no need to push your mind toward clarity or demand meaning from every moment. Wisdom, like sleep, often comes when the hands of control gently open. Lobsang listened to the master's words with quiet resistance. He had been trained to believe that progress required discipline, analysis, and constant improvement. To him, sleep felt like absence rather than learning, darkness rather than insight. Yet something in the master's voice carried a calm certainty that his arguments could not dissolve. That night, instead of trying to understand, he tried something unfamiliar. He allowed himself to rest without expectation. He did not chase thoughts, nor did he attempt to silence them. He simply let them drift like clouds across a wide and patient sky. As the hours passed, his mind loosened its grip. Images rose and faded, not as messages to be decoded, but as gentle movements in a larger field of awareness. For the first time, he sensed that sleep was not an empty gap between days, but a quiet teacher speaking in a language beyond words. When morning arrived, Lobsang felt different, though he could not explain why. There was no dramatic revelation, no clear lesson to report. Yet something within him had softened. The sharp edge of effort had rounded into trust. Master Noor noticed the change immediately. "You touched the doorway," he said softly. "The mind learns many things in daylight, but the heart learns in the night. You may feel this doorway too, as your own thoughts begin to slow. Between one breath and the next, there is a pause that feels wider than time. In that pause, nothing needs to be solved. Nothing needs to be achieved. In the days that followed, Lobsang stopped measuring his progress. He listened more deeply, not only to teachings, but to silence. He discovered that understanding sometimes arrived not as answers, but as quiet shifts in perception. One evening he asked the master, "How do I know when I am truly learning?" Master Noru smiled and pointed toward the mountains, where clouds were dissolving into twilight. "When you stop trying to know," he replied, "learning begins to reveal itself." These words were not meant to be grasped, but to be felt. Like the slow melting of snow into hidden streams, their meaning unfolded gradually, without urgency. As you rest now, you may notice that your mind is still active, or perhaps already drifting toward dreams. Either state is welcome. There is nothing you must change. Thoughts can move like distant echoes across a vast valley. Sensations can rise and fall like gentle waves along a quiet shore. And beneath all of it, there is something that does not move at all. This unmoving presence does not judge your experience. It does not demand silence or perfection. It simply remains steady and open, holding everything with quiet compassion. Lobsang eventually understood that his greatest obstacle had never been ignorance, but tension. When he released the need to control his inner world, a deeper clarity emerged on its own. You can allow the same release now. There is no need to hurry toward sleep. Sleep is already moving toward you, like a tide returning to the shore. Your breath becomes slower, almost effortless. Your body remembers its ancient knowledge of rest. Your mind begins to soften, not as a failure of awareness, but as a return to its natural rhythm. In this gentle descent, nothing is lost. Awareness does not disappear. It simply becomes quieter, deeper, more spacious. Like Lobsang resting beneath the silent gaze of the mountains, you are held by something vast and patient. You do not need to understand it. You only need to allow it. Let your thoughts fade like footsteps in snow. Let your body sink like a stone settling into still water. Let your awareness rest like a lamp whose flame burns without effort. The night is not empty. It is full of unseen guidance. And as you drift further into sleep, you may discover what Lobsang finally learned, that the most profound wisdom does not arrive through striving, but through the quiet courage to let go. Now there is nothing more to do, only to rest. Yet dreams are not achievements that arise from effort. They appear only when the mind releases its grasp and allows itself to rest completely. But how can learning happen when I am not awake? Lobsang once asked softly, "How can wisdom reach me when I am unaware of receiving it?" Master Noru did not answer immediately. He turned his gaze toward a tree blooming quietly beyond the window. "Look at that tree," he said gently. "Does it struggle to grow? Does it study manuals on how to blossom? Does it calculate the mystery of sunlight and rain?" Lobsang watched the tree in silence. Its branches moved slightly in the wind, its flowers opening without hesitation, without effort. He could not deny that its growth followed a hidden intelligence beyond conscious planning. "Your sleeping mind is like that tree," the master continued. "It grows in wisdom without needing supervision. But just as the tree requires soil, water, and light, your inner world requires one essential condition: true rest." That night, Lobsang approached sleep with a different heart. He did not try to command his dreams. He did not attempt to remember, analyze, or achieve anything. He simply allowed himself to rest. He let his expectations fall away. He released his desire to understand. Even his wish to be a good student slowly dissolved. His mind settled like dust in still water, becoming clear and quiet. In his dream, he found himself walking through an endless hall of books. Every shelf was filled with volumes whose pages were blank. At first, he felt confusion, almost disappointment. But as he moved through the silent library, a gentle peace arose within him. Without words, he sensed a knowing that did not come from books or teachers. It came from somewhere deeper than thought. When he awoke, the details of the dream faded, but its essence remained. Something fundamental had shifted. He felt a quiet confidence in his own inner wisdom. The questions that had once troubled him no longer demanded urgent answers. Not because they had been solved, but because he had touched a way of knowing beyond analysis. From that moment, his approach to learning changed. He continued to study and meditate during the day, yet he no longer forced understanding through effort alone. He learned to work with his waking mind, and then to trust the deeper intelligence that continued its work while he slept. Years later, when Lobsang became a teacher, students asked him to explain subtle doctrines and profound truths. He often smiled and said, "Practice sincerely in the daylight, and sleep deeply at night." The teaching continues when effort ends. Some truths appear only when the thinking mind becomes quiet. Nor lived many long years. His monastery became known for students whose understanding was steady and deep, not fragile or forced. When other teachers asked about his methods, he would simply say, "I teach when the sun is awake. Sleep teaches when the world is quiet. I plant seeds. The night helps them grow." Like Lobsang, you can learn to trust the intelligence that emerges when effort fades. Right now, as you drift towards sleep, countless processes of healing and integration are already beginning. You do not need to guide them. You do not need to understand them. Your mind knows how to sort through the day. Your emotions know how to soften and balance themselves. Your body knows how to repair and renew itself in ways no conscious effort could manage. This wisdom is not separate from your spiritual nature. It is an expression of the same intelligence that moves the stars and opens flowers in silence. To trust sleep is to trust life itself. Feel how your body is already preparing for rest. Your breath slows naturally. Your muscles release their quiet tension. Your thoughts become softer, more fluid, less urgent. All of this happens without your command. You are being guided by systems that know exactly what you need. Long ago, a philosopher named Zhuangzi dreamed that he was a butterfly. In the dream, he moved freely among flowers, feeling only the joy of flight. He did not remember being human. He was simply a butterfly, alive and complete in that world. When he awoke, a strange question arose in his mind. Was he truly Zhuangzi who had dreamed of being a butterfly? Or was he a butterfly now dreaming of being a man? This question was not meant to be answered. It opened a deeper understanding. Perhaps waking and dreaming were not opposites, but different expressions of the same awareness, like waves rising and falling on one ocean. From this insight, he began to see sleep not as absence, but as consciousness taking another form. Dreams were not illusions, but journeys into different landscapes of being. Like Zhuangzi, you can approach sleep not as losing awareness, but as entering another dimension of experience. The awareness that observes your waking life does not disappear. It simply changes its rhythm. Tonight, your consciousness is not fading. It is unfolding. Your dreams are not meaningless. They are movements of intelligence, ways in which your inner world continues its quiet work. Modern knowledge has begun to glimpse this truth, yet ancient wisdom knew it long before words could explain it. Sleep is not only a biological need. It is a doorway back to the source of awareness. When you trust sleep, you trust the intelligence that guides rivers, heals wounds, and grows forests in silence. You are not alone in the night. You are held by a vast network of life that knows how to restore what has been tired and renew what has been worn. Feel how your body responds to this deeper guidance. Your heart slows into its gentle nighttime rhythm. Your temperature lowers slightly, preparing for rest. Invisible processes of healing begin their work. Your mind also softens. Thoughts lose their sharp edges. Boundaries between ideas dissolve. A more receptive, dreamlike awareness emerges. This is not a loss of clarity. It is a return to a different kind of wisdom. Like soil becoming soft in darkness, so seeds can sprout. Your consciousness becomes gentle so healing can occur. The stories you have heard tonight, the monk, the mountains, the silence, the darkness, the butterfly, are seeds resting quietly within you now. You do not need to think about them. You do not need to understand them. They will grow in their own time. Trust your dreaming mind to nurture them. Trust your inner wisdom to weave them into your life. As you drift deeper into sleep, remember, you are not leaving awareness behind. You are allowing it to explore new landscapes. You are not disappearing. You are becoming present in another way. The butterfly of your consciousness is already lifting its wings, moving gently into the garden of dreams, where every breeze carries quiet understanding and every flower holds a silent teaching. Rest now in this knowing. The night will bring exactly what you need. The same gentle intelligence that carried you through today will carry you through the healing darkness and return you to tomorrow renewed. And as your mind becomes quieter, you may begin to sense what the ancient masters always knew, that the deepest awakening is not sudden like lightning, but slow like dawn, so gradual, so gentle, that it feels almost like falling asleep. This quiet practice of letting go each night is slowly teaching you the same qualities that lead to the deepest inner opening: patience, trust, and the courage to allow change to unfold in its own rhythm. Long ago, in a valley surrounded by bamboo forests, there lived a young monk named Sunha. He had grown discouraged by what he believed was his slow progress in meditation. 4 years he had followed the teachings faithfully, sitting each morning and evening with sincere effort. Yet he felt no closer to awakening than when he had first begun. Each day, Sunha sat on his cushion, following his breath, observing his thoughts, trying to cultivate clarity and stillness. But instead of peace, he often felt restlessness. Instead of insight, he encountered confusion. Instead of quiet joy, he felt impatience and doubt. One morning, after a session filled with wandering thoughts and aching muscles, Sunha left the temple and walked into the bamboo forest. He hoped that movement and fresh air might soothe his mind and restore his faith. As he walked slowly among the tall stalks, he noticed something he had never truly seen before. The bamboo, though strong and towering, grew so gradually that its daily change was invisible. Day after day, it appeared unchanged. Yet over months and years, It transformed from fragile shoots into resilient forests that could bend in storms without breaking. Curious, Sunha chose one young bamboo shoot to observe. Each day it looked the same. Each week showed no obvious difference. But when he compared it with marks he had placed long ago, the growth was undeniable. Standing there, Sunha felt a quiet realization begin to form. Real transformation rarely arrives in dramatic moments. It unfolds through countless subtle shifts that are too small to notice, yet powerful when gathered over time. The bamboo did not strain to grow. It did not hurry its process. It simply remained rooted in conditions that supported life and allowed time to do its work. Sitting beside the bamboo one morning, Sunha saw his own practice in a new light. When he looked back over the years, he recognized changes he had not noticed before. His reactions to difficult emotions had softened. His ability to remain present during challenges had deepened. His sense of peace, though imperfect, had quietly grown. The problem was not that nothing was happening. The problem was that he had been looking for transformation in the wrong way. Like someone staring at bamboo hour by hour, he had expected sudden miracles instead of gentle evolution. From that day forward, Sunha practiced what he called bamboo patience. He stopped measuring his meditation by dramatic experiences. He focused instead on creating simple, supportive conditions: regular sitting, gentle attention, and quiet trust. Instead of forcing insight, he learned to honor the smallest shifts that emerged naturally when awareness was given space to grow. Years later, when young monks came to him feeling frustrated with their slow progress, Sunha led them into the bamboo forest. "Choose one plant," he would say softly, "and visit it often. Let it teach you how all true change unfolds." "But we want enlightenment, not plants," they would protest. Sunha would smile and gesture toward the tall bamboos swaying in the wind. These trees understand something about awakening that humans often forget. They know that gentleness sustained over time creates the greatest strength. They know that forcing growth can prevent it. They know that trust in natural timing is more powerful than impatience. "The same intelligence that guides bamboo," he would continue, "is guiding your awakening. Your task is not to hurry it, but to create conditions and then step aside." Like Sunha, you can begin to sense the quiet growth taking place within your own awareness as you practice the art of sleep. Each night of rest contributes to changes too subtle to measure, yet profound over time. Your nervous system is learning to settle more easily. Your mind is becoming more comfortable with uncertainty. Your body is discovering how to release tension with greater ease. Just as a musician does not master a melody in a single rehearsal, you do not need to achieve perfect sleep immediately. Each night adds a small note to the larger harmony of rest. Right now, as you drift towards sleep, you can practice bamboo patience. Instead of judging this moment by how quickly sleep arrives, you can notice the conditions that are gently forming: the softening of your breath, the loosening of your muscles, the quieting of your thoughts. These changes are happening whether you observe them or not, guided by the same intelligence that grows forests and heals wounds without instruction. Your role is simple: maintain gentle conditions and trust the unfolding. Feel how your body already knows this rhythm. Like bamboo that does not strain upward but opens naturally to sunlight and rain, your body knows how to open toward rest. Darkness, stillness, and release are the soil in which sleep grows. Your mind can follow the same path. Instead of forcing thoughts to stop, You can create mental space where quiet arises naturally. Gentle attention to breathing, soft awareness of sensation, kind acceptance of whatever thoughts appear. Long ago, in another land, there lived a master gardener named Aiko, known for her ability to grow delicate morning flowers. Many gardeners struggled for years without seeing a single bloom, yet her garden blossomed each season with quiet grace. Visitors traveled far to learn her secret, expecting complicated techniques or rare knowledge. Instead, they found simplicity. Aiko planted seeds in ordinary soil. She watered them with care, but never too much. Then she waited. "I do not know when they will bloom," she would say calmly. "I only trust that they have their own timing. My task is to care for the conditions, not to command the flowers." When visitors worried that some vines never bloomed, Aiko nodded gently. "Yes, some do not. But I have learned that the plants I worry about least often bloom most beautifully. Anxious effort can disturb natural growth." At dawn, when the first light touched her garden, visitors witnessed a quiet miracle. Not all flowers opened at once. Some were just beginning to unfold. Others were halfway open. Some were fully blossomed, radiant in the morning air. "This is how all true opening happens," Aiko would whisper. "Not suddenly, but gradually, in waves of perfect timing that cannot be forced." "So it is with the human heart," she would add. "We want everything at once: wisdom, peace, love. But consciousness opens layer by layer, responding to conditions we can nurture but not control." In her later years, when her strength faded, Aiko tended only a small patch of flowers outside her window. Her final teaching was simple: create good conditions, then rest in not knowing. Life knows how to unfold. Like her flowers, your awareness is opening in its own rhythm. The settling into sleep you feel now is part of that unfolding. Just as flowers respond to dawn, your consciousness responds to night. You do not need to force this opening any more than a gardener pulls petals to make them bloom. You only need to create gentle conditions: a relaxed body, a quiet mind, a trusting heart. Notice how this understanding softens your relationship with sleep. There is nothing to achieve, no standard to meet, no moment you must reach. There is only the invitation to rest in not knowing. Feel how your breath deepens when you stop controlling it. Feel how your muscles release when you stop checking whether they are relaxed enough. Feel how your thoughts soften when you stop trying to silence them. Each time you release effort, you are practicing the same art that leads to awakening. Each time you trust the natural process, you are learning the wisdom of growth. And as you drift further into sleep, you may sense what bamboo, flowers, and silent forests have always known: that the most profound transformation does not come from force, but from patience, gentleness, and the quiet courage to let life unfold in its own perfect time. The patience of bamboo that Sun had discovered in the forest, the quiet trust that Aiko practiced in her garden. These same qualities can guide your journey into sleep. Not forcing but allowing. Not grasping but receiving. Not controlling but trusting the ancient wisdom that knows how to restore your body, calm your mind, and renew your spirit during the hours of rest. As you continue to settle into sleep, carry with you this understanding of gentle awakening. Every moment of rest is shaping your transformation, even when the changes are too subtle to notice. Trust that the same intelligence that lifts bamboo toward the sky and opens flowers to the morning light is guiding your own unfolding toward deeper peace, quieter wisdom, and a more natural ease with life's constant movement. The flowers of your awareness will open when they are ready, responding perfectly to the conditions you are creating right now through this practice of gentle surrender. Rest in the knowing that all awakening, whether awakening to truth or awakening refreshed from sleep, emerges through the same patient rhythm that gardeners and contemplatives have trusted for countless generations. Sleep now in this spirit of quiet unfolding. Know that the night will bring exactly what you need, in timing wiser than any plan and kinder than any effort. As you drift into deeper layers of rest, you may feel yourself crossing a subtle threshold. The gentle efforts you made to relax, to breathe with awareness, to release the weight of the day, begin to happen by themselves, without direction, without supervision. You are entering the space where doing becomes being, where trying dissolves into trusting, where your will merges so completely with the flow of life that separation quietly fades. Long ago, in a monastery hidden among ancient forests, there lived a meditation master named Tiren. For decades, he had refined complex spiritual disciplines and mastered subtle states of concentration. Students traveled from distant lands to learn from him, hoping to acquire even a fraction of his skill. Tiren taught intricate breathing patterns, precise attention practices, and detailed instructions for cultivating particular states of mind. Under his guidance, students advanced quickly, developing abilities that others admired. Yet within himself, Tiren felt a quiet doubt. Despite his mastery, he sensed that something essential was missing. The more sophisticated his methods became, the farther he seemed to drift from the simple, natural peace he had tasted in his earliest days. He had become expert at practicing meditation, but had forgotten how to simply be. His path had grown so refined that it required constant effort to maintain, leaving little room for spontaneous wisdom. One evening, feeling burdened by the weight of his own achievements, Tiren walked into the forest beyond the monastery. He carried no technique, no goal, no intention to improve himself. He walked simply because walking felt lighter than striving. In a small clearing, he noticed an old woodcutter sitting beside a quiet fire. The man's clothes were worn, his hands rough from years of work. There was nothing outwardly remarkable about him, yet something in his presence felt deeply grounded. Tiren asked if he might sit by the fire. The old man nodded gently, and they sat in silence as flames flickered between them. After a while, the woodcutter spoke softly. "You seem to carry a heavy burden." Tiren was surprised. He looked at his shoulders and realized they were tense, even after years of practicing relaxation. "It may not be physical," the old man continued, "but something is tiring you." Without knowing why, Tiren began to share his story, his decades of practice, his mastery of techniques, and his growing sense that all his accomplishments were somehow missing the heart of the path. The woodcutter listened with effortless attention, as natural as the forest listening to the wind. When Tiren finished, the old man asked, "When you first began meditating before you learned all these methods, what was it like?" Tiren remembered his early days as a young monk. "It was simple," he said quietly. "I just sat and breathed and peace came naturally." "And you believe you know more now than you did then?" the woodcutter asked. Tiren hesitated, then nodded. The old man smiled gently. "I have cut wood for many years," he said. "At first, I believed skill meant effort and force. But over time, I learned something different. The trees already know how to fall. My task is not to force them, but to find the place where they are ready to let go. As the old man spoke, something shifted within Tiran. He saw that he had treated awakening like a project to complete, rather than a natural unfolding to participate in. That night, he returned to his monastery and did something he had not done in many years. He sat down without any technique, without any goal, without any attempt to improve himself. He remembered what it felt like to be a beginner. He released his methods, his achievements, his identity as a master. To his surprise, the peace he had sought for so long began to arise effortlessly, not because he had done something correctly, but because he had finally stopped doing so much. From that day on, Thiron's teaching changed. Instead of offering elaborate techniques, he invited students into simple presence. Instead of guiding them towards special states, he helped them recognize the awareness that was already here. Years later, when advanced practitioners asked him for his deepest teaching, he would smile and say, "There is nothing you need to become, nothing you need to achieve, nothing you need to add. The practice is not to create something new, but to stop covering what is already present." Like Tiran, you may discover that the deepest rest does not come from perfect technique, but from recognizing the relaxation that is already available when effort softens. Right now, as you drift towards sleep, you can practice this same art of release. Notice how your breath finds its rhythm when you stop directing it. Feel how your body settles when you stop arranging it. Observe how your mind quiets when you stop managing it. This is the space between effort and grace. Your gentle intention has created the conditions for rest. Now you can step back and allow sleep to carry you further. Feel how this understanding deepens your letting go. There is nothing to maintain, nothing to perfect, nothing to hold. You can rest in the awareness that has been present through every effort, the same awareness that will remain through your sleep. High in the mountains, there once lived a teacher known simply as Arun. He taught not through complex methods, but through what he called the practice of non-practice. Students who arrived expecting strict discipline were gently invited to do nothing in particular. They were encouraged to rest when tired, walk when moved to walk, and sit when drawn to stillness. At first, many felt confused, but those who stayed began to notice something quiet and profound. Without pressure to achieve, their minds naturally softened. Without goals to reach, presence arose by itself. One student asked, "How can we awaken without effort?" Arun pointed to a stream flowing down the mountain. "Does the water practice flowing?" he asked. "Does it strive to be wet? Your true nature is already clear. Trying to make it clear is like trying to wash water." Over time, the students understood. Practice was not meant to create awareness, but to remove what obscured it. Like them, you can discover what happens when you stop trying to achieve perfect sleep and simply rest in what is already here. Your breath can move on its own. Your body can settle on its own. Your thoughts can arise and fade on their own. And in this quiet space of not doing, sleep can arrive naturally, like a tide returning to the shore, gentle, inevitable, and kind. Remain here for a while, floating in the simplicity of being. There is nothing you need to change, nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to understand. Only the soft rhythm of breath, the quiet warmth of rest, and the slow unfolding of night. All of these quiet processes already know how to guide you towards sleep without needing your control. This is the gentle space between effort and grace, where sleep is no longer something you must achieve, but something you are invited to receive. Like a gift that can only be accepted when your hands are no longer trying to earn it, rest becomes available when striving softens and trust begins to breathe. You are being held by an intelligence that has supported you from the very beginning, long before you learned how to try. The ease of the woodcutter, the return to beginner's mind, the invitation to stop striving, All of these point toward the same quiet truth. The peace you seek is the very ground from which seeking arises. The rest you long for is already resting as your deepest nature. The sleep you are approaching is consciousness gently returning to itself. Tonight, as you continue this slow descent into rest, you can practice the most subtle form of non-practice. Allow everything to be exactly as it is. No improvement is required. No correction is needed. Rest in the awareness that requires no maintenance, no development, no effort. Let this moment become the simplest expression of who you have always been. Here, between doing and being, between searching and remembering, sleep arrives not as an achievement, but as a quiet homecoming. The threshold you are crossing now does not lead to absence. It leads to recognition. Recognition that consciousness itself has been seeking rest, and consciousness itself is the rest that was sought. Allow yourself to dissolve gently into this understanding. Trust that what you essentially are never sleeps and never wakes, but simply exists as the silent presence in which all sleeping and waking appear. Like waves rising and falling on an infinite ocean, experiences move across the surface of awareness, while the depths remain forever still. From the wisdom of patient awakening, you now arrive at the deepest teaching of all: rest without beginning, peace without conditions, love without boundaries. Like rivers that eventually reach the sea, all paths you have walked tonight settle into the same vast stillness. Here, seeking finally comes to rest, not because something new has been found, but because what was never lost has been remembered. The peace you tried to reach through effort, through improvement, through perfect states of mind, has always been closer than breath, more intimate than thought, more natural than any idea of yourself. In this final stretch of your journey, you rest in the understanding that there is nowhere to go and nothing to become. There is only this eternal moment of being, this infinite rest that welcomes you exactly as you are. High in the mountains of an ancient land, in a cave where even the wind spoke softly, there lived a hermit known as the one who never left rest. People said he carried a peace so deep that meeting him felt like touching perfect sleep while fully awake. Pilgrims climbed for days to reach him. They expected profound teachings and complex instructions, yet they found only a quiet man sitting in silence, radiating gentle presence. He spoke rarely. When he did, his words were simple. So simple that many visitors felt disappointed at first. But as they remained in his presence, something remarkable happened. Their urgent questions softened. Their restless searching grew quiet. The feeling that peace was somewhere else began to dissolve. One scholar, after years of study and practice, asked him directly, "What is the secret of your peace? What must I do to attain it?" The hermit smiled. "Secret," he said softly, "I am not attaining peace. I am resting as what I am. You are the same rest, but you believe you must reach it." The scholar protested, "I feel restless. How can I be rest itself?" The hermit replied, "What is aware of your restlessness? That awareness is never disturbed, like the sky untouched by storms." In silence, the scholar felt something shift. He realized that while thoughts and emotions moved endlessly, the awareness that observed them remained unchanged. "You are not the restless seeker," the hermit whispered. "You are the stillness in which seeking appears." When the scholar left the cave, his urgency had vanished. Not because he had achieved something, but because he had recognized what had always been true. Years later, he would say, "He taught me nothing new. He helped me remember what I had never lost." Like the hermit, you can recognize this truth now. The rest you seek is not in the future. It is present in this very moment. The awareness listening to these words is already infinite rest. Feel how this recognition allows effort to soften, like a bird finally landing after long flight. Your body still needs sleep. Your mind still benefits from dreams. Your nervous system still renews itself through rest. But now these needs are held within a deeper understanding. You are both the person who sleeps and the awareness that never sleeps. Like an ocean that remains still beneath moving waves, your deepest nature remains untouched even as thoughts and sensations rise and fall. Each breath becomes a bridge. Breathing happens in the body that rests, and also within the boundless awareness that is already complete. You can rest as both, the individual drifting into sleep and the timeless presence that holds all experience. There was once a village beside a great lake, so vast and clear that it reflected the entire sky. Yet the villagers had forgotten the lake existed. They collected water only from small puddles and pools, believing them to be the only source. They struggled endlessly, managing tiny reservoirs, worrying about scarcity, purifying muddy water. One day, a child wandered beyond the village and discovered the great lake. When the villagers saw it, they realized that all the small pools had always come from this vast source. From that day on, their relationship with water changed. They still used small containers, but they knew abundance was always near. Like those villagers, we often search for peace in small experiences, in sleep, success, relationships, and moments of pleasure, forgetting the infinite source from which all peace arises. The awareness present right now is like that great lake, vast, clear, inexhaustible. You do not need to gather rest from sleep. You can enjoy sleep as an expression of rest, but rest itself is what you already are. This understanding transforms sleep from something you chase into something you receive. Like a wave that does not need to find the ocean, you do not need to find peace. You are peace, momentarily appearing as someone preparing for sleep. Feel how deeply you can let go now. There is nothing to accomplish through sleep, nothing to escape, nothing to fix. Your body can settle completely, held not only by the bed, but by the boundless presence that supports all life. Your mind can release its final thoughts, knowing they arise and fade within the same vast awareness. Your heart can open fully, knowing you are already home. As consciousness dissolves into sleep, it returns to its own source, like a wave settling back into the ocean from which it was never separate. Sleep and waking are movements within the same awareness. You are not losing consciousness. You are recognizing its true nature. You are not falling into darkness. You are settling into the luminous silence from which all light emerges. There is nothing to fear in this surrender, nothing to lose in this letting go, nothing to achieve in this rest. Sleep now in the knowing that you have never been separate from the source of peace. Sleep in the certainty that you are held by love without beginning or end. And as night deepens, remember gently, what you are in your deepest essence never sleeps, never wakes, and never departs from peace. Rest well, floating in this boundless stillness, until morning returns like a quiet blessing.